Nice to meet you. Chairman, specifically Atomy and our company share the same founding year, which is 2011. In Atomy's history, what does it really mean to love and serve customers? Could you give us some concrete examples? The catchphrases we put forward were explained using expressions like baby philosophy and dairy cow philosophy. So a rancher takes good care of dairy cows in order to get milk from them. In other words, the purpose is not the cow itself, but the milk. But when a mother takes good care of her baby, she does so not to get something from the baby, but because the baby itself is the purpose. Using that analogy, I tell our members never to try to make money by using people as a means. In other words, you should never treat people as a means under any circumstances. You must regard them as the ultimate purpose. So among our company's management goals, number one is the success of our customers. Usually companies talk about customer satisfaction or customer delight. But when companies talk about satisfying or impressing customers, what they really mean is that they want to make money. In the end, that's their real goal. So customer satisfaction or delight becomes just a means to an end. But for us, the success of the customer itself is our goal. As I started managing the business this way, specifically, we serve each and every one of our members. For example, when we hold a seminar, it usually starts around 10 in the morning. But in reality, for people coming from faraway places like Busan or Mokpo, many of them have to wake up at 5 in the morning and often come without even having breakfast. So, thinking they might be hungry, I would buy rice cakes and some juice at the supermarket, arrange them nicely, and set them out. With care and sincerity. At the very least, I always thought that no one should ever be hungry. And those kinds of thoughtful actions were important ways to serve our customers. For example, when it came to giving out incentives, at that time we would distribute them every 2 weeks without fail. Back then, I knew the circumstances of each and every member. And since our sales weren't that big, I knew exactly who was generating the sales. After running the incentive program and calculating the incentives, I would call the business partner and let them know that their incentive had been generated. At that time, we also had quite a few product returns. That was because the company wasn't very well known yet. Oh, so what? Is this sales amount likely to be returned or not? When I asked like this, they would say, oh, this definitely won't be returned. Oh, really? Then I would say, I'll process your incentive tonight so you can withdraw and use it tomorrow morning. Because I wondered, would that person have money for transportation in the morning? Would they have money for lunch or for tea? I even thought about their financial situation like that. That's what it means to be human. Yes. So in the evening, even if it was just a small amount, at that time the incentive would only be about 60 or 70,000 won. But because the chairman had that kind of consideration, I think people were really moved. So by doing those thoughtful and considerate things, people gradually came to realize that our chairman is not someone who simply thinks only about his own personal well-being and interests. That's right. I really think that's the best thing. Looking at it, even an outstanding company is run with the heart of a pioneer pastor. And the metaphors of the dairy cow and the baby are truly remarkable. It's not about using people as a means. This person's success is my happiness, a mother's heart. I believe that kind of leadership is never about having the mindset of a conductor. When I first saw a conductor, I wondered, the violinists and cellists work themselves to death playing and get their salaries, but that person just waves their hands in the air and gets such a high salary. How does that make sense? But I realized that was an ignorant thought. It's about bringing out others' voices and making those voices come together in harmony. That's what's truly difficult. So as I set that as my goal, I came to think that leadership is really about drawing out the best in people. I've been thinking about this. I believe that the reason Atomy has grown so rapidly in just 11 years is because the chairman truly loves the employees, as you mentioned earlier, and was able to bring out the best in them. What do you think about that? Honestly, if a conductor just waves their arms around without any thought, they wouldn't be paid that kind of salary. Yes, so everything is in their head. They have all the sounds of the instruments in their mind, and they know exactly when each should come in and how strong the sound should be. In other words, true harmony. Harmony must be perfectly formed in the conductor's mind for real conducting to happen. I think it's the same for managers. Everyone has their own unique set of abilities and talents, but unless the leader has a clear and well-defined vision of exactly how to thoughtfully combine and utilize those abilities in order to ultimately create a certain system or work, the organization will keep losing its direction and become unstable. So I truly believe that a leader really needs to be a thinker, someone who can carefully consider and reflect on every aspect. That's why I called Hall a daydream. You have to become a dreamer. So constantly thinking is one of the main tasks of a leader. And it's not just about thinking in a single simple way, but rather you have to consider multiple possibilities, combine various variables, take into account changes in the environment and circumstances, predict situations, and have countermeasures for each of them in order to truly be a leader. That's what I believe.